And Toretta intercepted by Teague. George Teague to the end zone. Touchdown. Hall is now right in the middle. That says blitz. Passes away, penalty flag down. Lamar Thomas has got it. Lamar Thomas is on his way down the sideline. George Teague is after him and runs him down. Takes the ball away from him. Teague's got the ball. And they tackle Teague back up to 12. Game's over. Alabama defeats Miami. Number 2 beats number 1, 34-13.
Blitz on from the 1. And they throw a fade right side of the end zone for Owens. He got both feet in. Touchdown catch over the shoulder. Here we go. Oh, they're going to have a big fight. There goes Owens. Puts it down. And he levels it.
Here it goes.
And now Teague is aimed at by an offensive lineman. Flozell Adams pulls Teague away. And Owens is waved to the bench. And he stands in the middle of the star and holds the ball out.
Let me tell you something, Brad. Terrell Owens started it. Emmett Smith went out to the 50, trumped him. Now Terrell Owens comes back, and George Teague said, you know what, I'm not going to take this. Good for George Teague.
Yes, good for George Teague. He defends the star for all Dallas Cowboys fans worldwide. This is Teague's Take, once again live from the Maverick Bar in Carrollton, Texas, 1616 West Hebron Parkway in Carrollton, Texas. Alongside George Teague on video and JT here live with me at the bar. I'm IndyCar Tim, and it is another wonderful Tuesday night. Live from the Maverick Bar. George is here. And, George, we've got yet another. Every week it seems to get better with the guests. You've got another wonderful guest for us this week. Who is it?
Yes, man. You know what? This is such a very special episode, and I was just talking to this gentleman about it, and I'm very thankful for him for a lot of reasons. First of all, because he's been working with Crimson Tide for, I guess, probably about 30 years now. But for many of you, if you don't know, with our podcast here, this is our 13th episode, and I knew going into this that this was going to have to be a very special one for me. Something about that number 13. I don't know what it is about that 1 and the 3, but I wanted to have a very special guest on for this show, and so I've become acquainted with this gentleman and his wife and his family over the past couple of years. Known him a long time, but we've got very close. So to have someone, a legend, another Alabama legend, someone in the Sports Hall of Fame, world known, he is the man. I'm stuttering because having Eli Gold in our presence tonight to be able to talk to us about football and life, and you know what? I learned some things about him that I hadn't known. I didn't know that he had a wing sauce named after him.
Hey, you got to have your priorities in life, George. You gotta have your priorities.
So we got a lot that we want to cover. Eli, thank you very much, man, for spending some time with us tonight.
My pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you. We got a lot of different things that we want to hit on with you. The two gentlemen here with us, IndyCar Tim, I had the pleasure to meet him months ago, and when we got ready to start this show and wanted him to come on to be my host, and of course having James Teague, JT, my son, be a part of this has been really, really amazing for us. Thank you to our sponsors, for Maverick Bar, for allowing to host us out there tonight. I know a lot of you guys are asking already, hey, why am I not there tonight? Going on the side of caution, man. With this COVID stuff and the way things happening in sports and me being around kids, anytime you feel under the weather, you got to be careful. And I didn't want to go be around people while I was feeling a little bit sick. So I'm here at the house tonight. Otherwise, I'd be there with JT and those guys. So we'll keep those gifts and those giveaways to give away still. We'll talk about those a little bit later. But if you guys are ready for it, man, let's jump into it with Eli. We're gonna keep him on for the first half of the show if we can. So Tim, JT, y'all ready to get after it a little bit?
Let's do it. Let's talk to Eli, man. I've been waiting for this my whole life.
All right. So Eli, you probably want to know because Tim, what he hasn't said to you is he has a lot of broadcasting or announcing background, been on the radio and things of that nature. So I'm sure he's going to want to ask you a few questions about that. And I know my daughter's going to have something for you too because she's
all right.
Well, George, it's funny that you mentioned that because I had the same question really that Jada did. You want to jump right into it and let that be the first question because it kind of will kick off, I think, the theme of what we're going to talk to Eli about tonight.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do it.
Let me see if I can find that here briefly. Give me 2 seconds. Vamp a little bit if you want.
Yeah. So, Eli, who you're going to hear from is Jada. That's my daughter. She's
okay.
She goes to UTSA, UT San Antonio.
Sure.
She is studying broadcasting and journalism right now.
Wonderful.
So
it's a great way to make a living.
You're not biased or anything, right?
No, it is a great way to make a living.
Okay.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. I've been trying for 35 years to make a living at it and have not been as fortunate as Eli has. I am, but I'm still working at it. I still enjoy it. It's still my passion. Done a few little things here and there. But, hey, let's hear from Jada quickly if we can because she literally had the same question that I had for Eli as he is the legendary Alabama Crimson Tide broadcast.
Hi everybody, I'm Jada Teague with Jada Speaks here on Teague's Take. Now, my question is for Eli, big time guy with Bama football play-by-play. Just wanted to know how you landed the opportunity to call the Alabama football games.
Well, Jada, thank you for your question. And George, thank God she looks like others in your family and not you. Let's start with that right here. But beautiful young lady. The truth of the matter is I never applied for the job. It was one of the more bizarre things. I had been doing NASCAR broadcasting. I had been doing professional baseball. I had been doing pro hockey. And when the Alabama job opened up back in 1988, I had no connections really to the university. I was a pro sports guy. I was a New York guy. And I never applied for the job because I said I had no chance of getting the job. Then over the course of the next month or so, my name started showing up in the newspaper articles as those under consideration are such and such, such and such, such and such, and Eli Gold. And I had never applied. I had no agent. There were no back channel discussions. And then it came to the point where it said those coming in for an interview are such and such, such and such, and Eli Gold. And I still hadn't talked to anybody, nobody, not a soul. I realized who the person was in charge of making the hire. Steve Sloan was the athletic director at the time, and he had named Tommy Limbaugh, one of his assistants, as the gentleman in charge of making the hire. So I picked up I'm on the road doing baseball, and I picked up the phone and I said, Mr. Limbaugh, I called him. I said, you don't know me. I said, my name is Eli Gold, and I understand I'm coming in for an interview. And we both kind of chuckled at that, and that was a nice icebreaker. And he said, would you like to come in? And I said, well, certainly. Who wouldn't? I flew home the next day, went down to Tuscaloosa. I met with Mr. Limbaugh. I met with football coach Bill Curry and basketball coach Wimp Sanderson. I left that meeting with the basketball job. They brought back a gentleman by the name of John Forney, who had been the longtime voice of the Tide and then had been let go. He came back to do his 30th year, and then I took over the year after. So Jake, I wish I could tell you there was some great strategy there. The fact of the matter is, I never really applied for the job at all.
Oh, wow.
Well, those are the best stories and the best jobs to get, right?
And that's 32 years ago. Now, I will tell you, it was not at all a popular hire. I mean, seriously, people hated it. Like I said, I was a New Yorker. I was a pro sports guy. I was not a University of Alabama insider or anything like that. People were writing awful letters. Of course, this is before email. People were writing awful letters. People were calling the university and stopping their contributions to the university because they hired this outsider. Anybody who had the decency to sign their awful letters to me, anyone who had the decency to sign their letters, I answered them. And I said, look, you have every right to be upset after I open my mouth. I said, give me a chance to open my mouth and do that first game. And if you can't stand me, if you don't like me, if you want to throw me into the trash, that's your right to do so. But how can you cut me up to pieces without ever having heard my work? So, and the university backed me, and the gentleman who I replaced backed me, and the producer of the network, Burt Bank, he supported me, and but it was not a pleasant time. I mean, I didn't know if I would make it to week number 2. Honestly, I didn't know if I would make it to week number 2. Bottom line, here we are 32 years later, thank God, and it's going all right. But it was not an easy time, and you had to have thick skin. This is the second time in my life that I replaced a legend. I replaced John Forney in Tuscaloosa, who had done 30 years of Bama football. And in those days, without cable TV and all of this, radio was king. Radio was the thing. And John Forney was beloved by the listeners. Then also, back in 1977, I was hired to become the voice of the St. Louis Blues of the National Hockey League. And I replaced a gentleman by the name of Dan Kelly, who had been with the Blues forever and was probably about it. He was the greatest hockey announcer in America. The guy was spectacular on KMOX radio, so people in 30 states could hear him. And I replaced Dan Kelly. And that too brought all sorts of critical letters, articles, and I got tarred and feathered on the front page of the Chicago Tribune by a sports writer who had been a friend of Dan Kelly, and they couldn't believe that they hired me to replace him. And being tarred and feathered on the front page of the Chicago Trib doesn't happen to everybody. So I learned to have thick skin. And again, getting hired to do the Bama games was the second time when I had to replace a legend.
So
it occurs to me that you're kind of the Jimmy Johnson of broadcasters, as Jimmy Johnson, of course, replaced Tom Landry in Dallas and then Coach Shula there in Miami.
Yeah.
Sorry, George, I didn't bring up Jimmy Johnson's name. I promise it won't happen again.
That's okay. I know you're talking Jimmy Johnson of the Cowboys and not of the Dolphins.
Exactly.
Oh, man. But, well, you know what, Eli, and it's amazing, and I know you mentioned it, that you're saying, hey, this was, 32 years ago.
Yeah.
But because of that, you've had to work with a lot of coaches, a lot of different head coaches at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any glaring differences that you might have seen, that makes your job, difficult or different or happy, when you're dealing?
I'm a whole lot happier lately than those 17 years when Bama wasn't winning national championships. That's one thing. You learn to adjust. Let's face it. Gene Stallings, who obviously you know very well, won a national championship. Nick Saban has won a number of national championships. So they've both gotten to that goal, but they are totally different people. Totally different people, totally different approach, totally different way to deal with people, to deal with the media. And neither way is the right way. Whatever works for that particular person is the right way. I mean, Gene won a title and Nick's won titles. There's no right way or wrong way to do it. But everybody's been a little bit different. And of course, some are a little more open. Gene Stallings used to give me the first 10 plays of every game. Now, I only used it once, but he used to give me the script of those first 10 plays that he was going to call. Nick Saban, never. Mike Shula, never. Coach Franchione, never. Gene Stallings on Friday nights, we'd sit around and shoot the breeze for 2 hours, just killing time. Nick Saban and I don't do that. We get along wonderfully. We have a great relationship. We get along wonderfully. But, his approach is talking to old Eli for an hour and a half is not going to help Alabama win a football game. And I had to respect that, and I had to understand that. And just because I did sit around with Coach Stallings or Mike Shula or all these other guys for an hour and a half, that was their way of doing things. It's not Nick Saban's way of doing things. And I might add, Nick Saban's way has gotten me a whole lot of championship rings as opposed to the others. So, everybody's different. Yes, coaches are different, players are different, but I treat everybody with respect, and they respect me, and it's been absolutely spectacular.
Man, yeah, that's awesome. Just sitting here thinking about, the names that you said. That a lot of us have totally forgotten about Dennis Franchione. And
yeah.
Well, we'd like to forget about him at A&M. That's for sure.
How long did he coach at Alabama? He wouldn't even.
Franchione was there a couple of years.
Yeah. Okay, then I'm thinking of somebody else that was.
Yeah, you're thinking of Mike Price, who was there for.
Yes, Mike Price. Yes.
Dennis Franchione, he had it in his contract. His dream job was coaching the Aggies, and he had it written in, as I understand, that he was going to be able to leave should the Aggie job come open. And when Coach Slocum was let go, Dennis took the opportunity. But you're thinking of Mike Price, who was only there for a short period of time.
Yeah, like real short, wasn't it?
Yeah, 15 minutes, I think.
I'm pretty sure I might go back and edit all this Dennis Franchione talk out of this podcast. An Aggie alum, we don't like to remember him too well.
Yeah, so Tim is a big Aggies guy, so we've been.
I kind of got it. I should have said howdy when I came on.
Yeah, well, Tim has some history though with
Coach
I do with Coach. So Eli, my father was a Junction boy.
Oh, really?
And he played for, of course, Coach Bryant, and he played with Gene Stallings and Jack Pardee.
Sure.
And, I've told George this story numerous times. He's probably tired of hearing about it, but as a young child, I knew Gene, I knew Uncle Gene and Uncle Jack just as who they were. I had no idea. My football consciousness wasn't there yet.
Sure.
And the only time I ever saw my father cry, and this includes when my mother passed away, was when Coach Bryant passed away.
Yeah, very emotional time. It certainly was. I was here at the time, and of course, it was very, very emotional. So yeah, I understand that. Yeah, so it's funny that being an Aggie, but all the ties to Alabama with Coach Bryant, and then of course Coach Stallings, and I have some, other than George, I've got some other associations on that 92 team that are friends of mine, and I don't want to call myself an Alabama fan, but man, I'll tell you right now, it's really hard not to. I'll tell you. Well, there are far worse things to be in this world. I guarantee you that.
I absolutely. I could be a Big 12 fan. God, that would be terrible right now. So let me ask you this. So, Eli, this is something that comes up on the show quite often. And of course, being an Alabama guy, you're an SEC guy. And George asked me this question about weekly. Do you think A&M made a mistake coming over to the SEC? Do you think it hurt the SEC?
No, not at all. You gotta dig into why these things happen. Why did Texas A&M come in? Why did Missouri come in? It was to expand the footprint of the conference, to get Houston in particular, and to some degree Dallas, into the SEC television footprint. It allowed, with Missouri coming in, to get St. Louis and Kansas City into the SEC network footprint. So, and of course, it has further expanded the recruiting base for many of the schools in the SEC. So no, absolutely not. No mistake whatsoever. SEC is a great conference. Those are both great schools. Obviously, Kyle Field is a first-class, world-class facility. No, I don't know why anybody would say it would be a mistake.
You hear that, George?
Yeah, well, the next time I see Eli on the cruise, we're definitely gonna have a sidebar conversation about that topic. Right
Why do you think it's a mistake, George?
I think he thinks that A&M and Missouri watering down the SEC.
No.
It just beat number 4 Florida, sir.
No, it's because my wife said it wasn't a good idea. So therefore,
happy wife, happy life. I understand.
Now I get it. My wife, golly.
Yeah. And I do have to say that, yes, I have heard Tim tell the story about his pops, and I'm glad he does. And I have to ask him all the time just to make sure he tells me the same story over and over and over again, because I don't have proof yet. If he's being honest with me or not, so
I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
Who would make that up?
Yeah, I don't know. Someone that would a closet Alabama fan. That's who would make it up. Oh man. So hey, Eli, I got another question.
Yes, I always have been this good looking.
Hey, Eli and I share a similar haircut, so hey.
What I want to know is, do you have a favorite Iron Bowl? So many people have different games that they like. We talk about
that's a good question.
Iron Bowl that you just like, hey man, that's the one that you remember.
Well, when Bama wins big, those are all my favorites. The first win down at Jordan-Hare was a favorite of mine. So yeah, there have been a number of them, but really, anytime Alabama can beat Auburn in the Iron Bowl, that's automatically a favorite.
Yes, indeed. I feel like you kind of jabbed me a little bit there, because I played in the first one in Jordan-Hare, and we lost it.
Yeah. It happens, you're not going to win them all, but yes, it's the catch by Roy Upchurch to win the one down there. And there are so many, but yeah, anytime you win, it's big.
Well, since you got that, what about these rings? Because you got a lot of rings here.
Do.
Yeah, which one got the most bling bling in it, or the one you wear the most?
The one I wear is the most recent, and I'm not wearing it right now because it's a little bit later in the day and I've taken my jewelry off. But I was lucky enough to be inducted into the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, the State of Alabama Sports Hall of Fame in 2014. And as part of my permanent display, I have a lot of things. I have my CBS Sports blazer. I have a lot of credentials and so on. Part of my display is also all of my rings, except the most recent. So I always wear, and I wear it every day when I'm out. I wear it every day. I wear the most recent ring. That one from the '92 title I wore for 17 years. Now, of course, they do get switched out a little bit more regularly. But yeah, I wear the most recent one. And when Bama wins their next title later this year, I will put that one in the display and wear the new one.
Yes, sir. I love it. I love the confidence.
There.
The confidence. Tim, do you know what that is? Do you know what a national championship ring is? Or do they got any of those down there?
Hey, the funny thing is when Gene Stallings gave us that 92 ring, you know the story on that ring, George?
No.
That ring was a copy of a Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl ring. When Gene worked as an assistant, as a coordinator for the Cowboys. Of course, it had the blue D in the middle instead of the crimson A. And Gene Stallings said to somebody one day, he said, if I ever become a head coach in college and win a national championship, I'm going to replicate this ring, and it's going to be our national title ring. So Bama goes out and puts Gino Torretta on his back and wins the national title. And the ring comes out, and it is a carbon copy of that Super Bowl ring, except the blue D was a crimson A. And instead of where it would say Dallas, it said Alabama. I mean, they made the obvious changes, but it was based on that Super Bowl ring. And we got that ring in 92. It came in May. I remember it vividly, because I was doing the race at Talladega that weekend, and that was in May. Got the ring, and man, that thing was bling. I'm telling you, that 92 ring was bling with a capital B. Now, and there's nothing wrong with that ring still, it's beautiful, but now that ring can almost fit through the rings of today. Because the kids now design these giant rings that are beautiful and they're wonderful, but they're almost the size of a hubcap, So, it's very interesting, that 92 ring, which was gorgeous and still is, but now it can almost fit through the current day rings.
Yes, man. Awesome. Well, that's the only one I have, so I'm going to
enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with it. Be proud forever and a day.
Well, and I thank you for sharing that, because I didn't know that, so that's a good story I'll be able to tell my grandkids now about how that was designed. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Eli, before we let you go, we don't want to keep you up too late. Before we let you go, I did have another question for you. You've clearly called NASCAR. You've called pro football, college football, baseball, hockey, just about everything I can imagine. Is there anything that you have not called or done or been a part of that is on your bucket list?
Yeah, things that'll never happen. And I'd love to call a Super Bowl, even though I've done a lot of NFL. I'd love to do a Super Bowl. That's not likely to ever happen. I would love to do, of all the baseball I've done, I've never done a game at Yankee Stadium. And growing up as a Yankee fan, you see, when I grew up in New York, that was that short period of time when New York City had only one baseball team. The Giants and the Dodgers had already left for the West Coast. The Mets hadn't been born yet. So there was that short period of time where New York City had one baseball team, and that was the Yankees. So if you wanted to pull for your home team, you pulled for the Yankees. And I've been a lifelong Yankee fan. I have been, I can't even count, hundreds of games at both Yankee stadiums over the years, hundreds of games. But I've never broadcast a game there. So I would love to do that. I have been blessed to do games at Madison Square Garden, which was also like the holy grail to me growing up in New York City. So yeah, there are a couple events I'd love to do, but I've also broadcast 8 national championship games, and have been on the right side of 6 of them. So I really have no right to complain about anything.
Man,
that's wonderful. So if I've got my timeline right, you were born in Brooklyn, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you in '53. I'm not telling any secrets. anything.
Yeah.
So you were 5 when the Dodgers left.
Yes.
So you never had, and this always interests me. I always ask this question to New Yorkers. Did you not? And I know you were young, but maybe your family had some allegiance to the Dodgers. Did you ever have any allegiance to the Dodgers whatsoever after they left?
My folks really were not sports fans.
Okay.
My dad, he died when I was very young. He had stomach cancer and passed away, but we were never sports fans. Then because I became a sports fan, he started doing things with me because I would ask to. He took me to Ebbets Field, which was the home of the Brooklyn Dodgers, the day that they began the demolition. Me and thousands of others, the big wrecking ball was painted up like a baseball, and it started swinging off that crane and knocking. I was there at the corner of Flatbush and Utica. I mean, and I remember vividly being there, but I never saw a game at Ebbets Field. I never did. I never went to the Polo Grounds for the Giants. I went to the Polo Grounds when the Mets played there, and when the predecessors to the New York Jets played there, the New York Titans of the American Football League. But no, my only baseball experience, my whole life, in-person baseball, was Yankee Stadium. And I'll never forget watching the Yankees on television. And of course, in those days, it was a small screen, black and white television. And then the day my dad took me to Yankee Stadium, it was a Wednesday, and the Yankees beat the Cleveland Indians 12-8. Rocky Colavito hit a home run for the Indians, but I remember walking into the stadium through the portal, and what had always been gray on my television was emerald green, the grass and the dark brown dirt and all of this stuff. And I just fell in love with sports, fell in love with being a spectator, and fell in love with the Yankees, and I've been a fan ever since.
Wonderful. I love to hear those stories, and every New York fan's got their own reason for rooting and cheering for who they do.
Yeah.
And growing up in DFW my entire life, I was born the same year the Rangers moved here from Washington D.C. So I haven't really had a choice, and we've always not been really good. So I love hearing all of that and the reasons for why people cheer for who they do. It's wonderful. And I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Sure, my pleasure.
Hey, Eli, I do want to say this. So because I don't think you can see the comments, but there is a fan on here. His name is Craig Young. He wanted to, I think he just put it up here so you can see it. He's saying
I see that message now.
That you did a really nice thing by giving some friends of his some tickets to a game.
I'm glad to do it. It's so easy to be nice, George. It's so easy to be nice.
Yeah.
Why go out of your way to be a butt? There's no need for that. It is so easy to be nice. And, that's part of what my life is about. And, and when you represent the university and you represent yourself, you want to be nice. And Craig, I appreciate your writing in, and it was my pleasure to give them tickets.
Yeah. So I want to ask you two quick things. These are on the lighter side because Craig brought this up also. And I wanted to ask you about it anyway. Know you had a restaurant, or if you still do, I don't know.
No, I sold it about a year ago. Nino's, unfortunately, my partner died of a massive heart attack, just up and died. And then 5 months later, his wife died of cancer.
Oh.
And, I learned a lot about owning a restaurant, but I was not in a position to run a restaurant. And their children, one was and still is a rocket scientist for NASA up in Huntsville, and he was not going to give up his career to run a restaurant. And their daughter was a lawyer, and still is, here in Birmingham, and she was not going to give up her career to run a restaurant. So after 10 successful years, I might add, we got rid of the restaurant. And then a short while later, somebody came along and resurrected it, and they're still in business, and I wish them the very, very best.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, two more. One more is a statement, and then the last one will be a question for you. The statement is, when you're making your bucket list on all the places you wanted to maybe announce or whatnot, I couldn't believe that you didn't say that you wanted to commentate one of the cornhole championships that they show on ESPN. Oh man, what's
it was
up?
a toss-up between that and the Mason's hot dog eating contest. And I hadn't been able to settle on which one I want to do yet. So maybe next time I'm on, I will have come up with an answer.
Yeah, and the last thing, you got to tell us about the sauce. What's the deal with Baumhauer's? I love Baumhauer's.
Bob Baumhauer. Sure. Yeah. As you know, Bob Baumhauer was a spectacular defensive lineman for Alabama, one of the greatest in the history of the NFL with the Miami Dolphins. And Bob owns a chain of restaurants. And one of his wing sauces is a gold-colored wing sauce. It's a barbecue sauce, but the color is gold. And he called me one day. He said, "Hey," he said, "would you mind if I put your name on this thing?" I said, "Well, I want to taste it first," and it was very, very good. I mean, I wasn't going to put my name on something that tasted like crap. I said, "I want to taste it first. And what are you going to call it?" He goes, "It's going to be the Eli Gold barbecue sauce." I said, "Sign me up." So, no compensation other than talking about it like this, but yeah, the Eli Gold barbecue sauce has been part of the Baumhauer's offerings now for, gosh, I can't even tell you how many years, probably maybe 7-8 years, something like that, if not more.
Yeah, well, I would definitely make sure I reach out to him and tag him on that, because I eat his wings all the time. Anytime I go back into Alabama, Birmingham, it doesn't matter if it's Montgomery or Tuscaloosa, right up on the 80 there or wherever it is, right up.
82, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but,
I love it.
That's the story behind it. And, you know, if you behave, maybe one day there'll be a George Teague sauce. You know,
As much as you eat wings, you should be on that.
there you go.
Well, we appreciate it, man. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure, guys. It was good being on with all of you. And George, feel better, man. Get out of the house and you get back to doing what you do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thank you guys very much. And Eli, we'll be in touch very soon, man.
Thank you. You take care, fellas. See you. Bye-bye.
There he goes. The legendary voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Mr. Eli Gold. And wow. I'm speechless, man. George made one of my dreams come true right there, getting to talk to that guy, because good Lord, what a legend. I know he's a legend to you, but man, in my business, that guy's way, way up here, man. And it was amazing to get to talk to him and hear those stories.
JT, I got a feeling you about to get a big old hug over there. We're doing this break right here.
Hey now. So we've got a couple of giveaways, right?
Yeah, we do.
How are we doing this?
So I don't know if anybody has been receiving any, since I wasn't there to really orchestrate on getting the receipts over to anyone.
There's nobody here.
Hmm?
There's nobody here.
Oh, you're trying to keep it for yourself, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be present to win.
Yeah, there ain't nobody here.
Well, if there ain't nobody there, then we ain't got to worry about it. But since you guys can see and know what we want to do, we can make that call, and I'll text you guys.
We might want to wait till next week.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's wait.
All right. That's easy enough. Well,
I mean, I'll take it home for safekeeping, but
yeah.
Walter says he's here, so
he's there, so he won his.
Well, can we do one entry and then pick one winner?
Well, hey,
So, all right, well, let's talk about it here. We're going to take a quick break. This is Teague's Take. Mr. Eli Gold was our guest the first half. We hope you got to listen to that, because it was, pardon the pun, pure gold. And we're coming back to the second half. We've got Money Matters, and we're doing the state of sports.
Yeah.
Because we're covering everything from
Yeah,
Alabama.
There was a lot of things that happened.
Dude, there's a lot going on. Alabama defense, hated to bring that up. A&M beat number 4 Florida at Kyle Field. The Cowboys are going to be terrible again.
You put too much emphasis on that A&M beating Florida, but anyway, go ahead.
Hey, we take what we can, all right? You know how it is. Good Lord. We'll take a quick break live from the Maverick Bar in Carrollton, Texas. This is Teague's Take. We'll be back right after this. Hey, sports and sports memorabilia fans. This is IndyCar Tim. I want to talk to you about our new friend, Chris Gordon, over at the Cowboy House, cowboyhousesports.com on the web. Now, Chris is super passionate about all sports, and that's why the Cowboy House is so much more than just a Dallas Cowboys sports memorabilia store. He's got unique game-used memorabilia and rare, hard-to-find autographs for teams across the globe. Everything from the NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, golf, UFC, soccer, Olympics, even from Hollywood and the political sector. And his store isn't just a fancy mall store. It's more of a man cave that he likes to share with his friends and customers. Come on into the store at 209 South Shady Shores Drive, Suite 200 in Lake Dallas, and you can walk on the Texas Stadium end zone turf. You can sit in a chair from Yankee Stadium or Texas Rangers Globe Life Park. Check out hundreds of autographed jerseys from hundreds of teams. Check out thousands of photos signed with certificates of authenticity. He's also got custom framing for all of your sports memorabilia items. Chris Gordon over at cowboyhousesports.com. 214-551-5978. Thank you, Cowboy House.
Need a one-stop shop for Cowboys news and happenings over at the Star in Frisco? Click on over to cowboyssi.com. Featuring Mike Fisher with 30 years experience covering America's team. It's the most popular of all the Sports Illustrated sites and home to the Cowboys Blitzcast podcast. Cowboyssi.com is the place to get inside your Cowboys. With such a talented team of writers and reporters over there, you'll always know the latest about personnel and roster moves, salary cap issues, and draft class status. Click on over to cowboyssi.com and always be in the know and get the inside scoop on America's team.
The Maverick Bar and Grill in Carrollton, Texas, North Dallas's premier sports bar and grill, located at 1616 West Hebron Parkway. It's 16 minutes from just about anywhere in DFW. With all the live action on dozens of TVs and the big screen, it's the place to hang out and watch the return of sports with all of your friends. Friday and Saturday nights, you'll find the best live music in DFW right there at the Maverick Bar. And of course, on Thursday nights at 6 p.m., you'll find us broadcasting Teague's Take live with Alabama and Cowboys legend George Teague. Come hang out and be a part of the show. Check out the Maverick Bar and Grill in Carrollton, 972-492-7500, or on the web at themaverickbar.com.
Hey, podcast listeners, this is IndyCar Tim, and I want to talk to you about some friends of ours over at ProfoundSites.com. That's Brent Thomas at ProfoundSites.com for your personal and commercial needs. We're talking about websites built, repaired, secured, maintained, and websites found. Brent Thomas and ProfoundSites.com provide e-commerce development, website development, online marketing, and web, mobile, and e-commerce consulting. With over 10 years experience, ProfoundSites.com is responsible for the creation of GeorgeTeague.com, where you can hear the George Teague podcast called Teague's Take each week. Brent Thomas and ProfoundSites.com can take you through the entire pain-free process of building your new website. From initial discussion to planning, to design, to coding, programming, and then finally the launch. Contact Brent Thomas at ProfoundSites.com or email him at brent@ProfoundSites.com.
Increase time inside your home, noticing all the little things needing attention? Let Repair Resource be your one trusted contractor to tackle all your home repair needs. They do it all, from electrical, plumbing, drywall, to painting and flooring of all types. They can even handle your exterior needs like fencing, patio covers, concrete pads, and decking. No job is too big and no job is too small. Repair Resource does it all. Give them a call at 972-415-1198 or check them out on the web at repair-resource.com.
Meat Church. Do you need to take your barbecue and grilling game to the next level? Check out the great line of products from Meat Church Barbecue. From seasoning and rubs to full-blown recipes like pork belly burnt ends, smoked queso, beef ribs to smoked bologna, and Texas-style brisket, Meat Church has what you need. If your barbecue and grilling game is lacking, check out their barbecue classes and events. They'll help you raise your game to impress your friends and family. If you're in the Waxahachie area, please check out their store at 205 West College Street or give them a call at 214-980-1063 or head on over to meatchurch.com for a location near you where all their great products are available. Or order directly from them online at meatchurch.com.
No.
Now do you got me?
Yep, I got you. There
Dang
you
it. Fat fingers, man. Welcome back to Teague's Take live from the Maverick Bar in Carrollton, Texas. 1616 West Plano Parkway. West Hebron Parkway. I get my shows mixed up. We are here every Tuesday night, 8 p.m., live from 8 to 9-ish. Sometimes we go a little bit longer. Always got a great guest for you. George, who do we have on slate for next week?
Oh, my gosh. So, Denise Alcazar. That's how you say her name. I'm probably butchering it. But listen, everybody got to tune into this because one thing I just learned from you and maybe from Eli and Jada for sure on how to do a tease. This lady's going to tell us you can tell when kids are professional football players long before they probably even know it. How interesting is that?
Yeah, you've been telling me about this person and what she does and how she does it, and to me, it's magic.
Yes. Well,
to a crystal ball and determines your future.
So,
and maybe I should say it the other way, that she can tell you when you're not going to be a professional football player.
You're right.
That's easy, right? You just look around.
Yeah,
I got 100% on this one.
She looked at me when I was 19 and I was all 6'1", 135 pounds, and she was like, "Yeah, you're probably not going to be a pro." Sorry, kid.
Well, it don't have anything to do with your haircut. I do know that much. So, but
I had long hair when I was 19.
I'm extremely excited about that. We got her coming up. We got Jay Barker coming up soon. I mean, we got a good long list of people coming in, man.
I was on the phone with Jay earlier, as a matter of fact, getting him ready for the show. He's excited.
All right. Well, that's good, man.
Ready to go. He's ready to go.
I love it, Mr. Producer. Get him right. Get him right.
So we've got a big second half here. It was a big sports weekend. Lots of stuff going on, especially if you're a Cowboys fan, if you're an SEC guy. Of course, Mizzou down to LSU. A&M upset Florida there at Kyle Field. Alabama won, right? I mean, that's a good thing. But for some reason, from the messages I was getting from you during the game, I would have thought they lost if I didn't know the score.
Well,
we're going to talk about all of that going into Money Matters with JT. What's up, JT?
Yeah, so Money Matters brought to you by ProfoundSites.com. So 2020, the year of our Lord 2020, has been very chaotic. Team Chaos definitely taken over.
Right.
Some headlines before we actually get into the Alabama game. Bill O'Brien was fired, finally. Too bad he wasn't fired before they traded DeAndre Hopkins. Dan Quinn was fired. Too bad he wasn't fired probably about 2 years ago, before the whole Georgia sports blowing leads became internet meme.
Well, and you had breaking news just now as we came on the air.
Yep, and breaking news, Adam Gase and the New York Jets have decided to cut Le'Veon Bell, not trade him. He is released. He is a free agent.
Wait, did Adam Gase have anything to do with that decision? Is he like their personnel guy?
He's their general manager and head coach. Yeah. Talk about failing
I'm glad I'm not a Jets fan.
Right? Like I said, yeah.
Jeez.
How long before he gets fired, then?
Crazy taco eyes.
It depends. Depends on how naive whoever the Jets owner is compared to like Arthur Blank. I don't know.
Man, I don't know what goes on in those areas, like between those owners and those. I mean, I get Dan Quinn. I get they had a relationship. He'd been somewhat successful, but dude, Adam Gase has done absolutely nothing.
No, he got fired for being terrible, and then
Miami, right?
Yes, and then so Miami let him go, which should have already been a red flag, right? If you get let go from a team that almost went 0-16. You would think that your next job wouldn't actually give you more responsibility.
Correct.
But maybe because I think that way, that's why I'm not an NFL owner.
So I know we haven't got to your Money Matters. I know we haven't got to his Money Matters subject yet, but I'd have to just interject. I wonder how hard is it what kind of path you got to take to become a general manager of a football team? I need to start looking at this. If this, being an AD and doing all this stuff, what I got to do to
make $1 million in oil and buy the Cowboys?
No. Well, that's one route. But I'll give you another route because it seems to have worked for two people so far.
Okay.
Be a GA. Find your way into head coaching a poorly run NFL team. Then complain that your players aren't good enough, and you might find yourself as the GM, and you would have followed the path of Bill O'Brien, Adam Gase, and Chip Kelly. All, by the way,
sarcasm, boy, I love it.
Trading away your best assets. I don't understand how this happened. How LaShawn McCoy ends up in Buffalo. See, look, you got me talking about stuff that wasn't even on a sheet.
It's all right. It's all state of the sports.
So, and just to kind of tie up how crazy 2020 has been, and I had a tweet about it, that the Texas Longhorns lost to an unranked Oklahoma. And if you kind of just let that sink in, you'll see how far from grace.
That's not the first time that's ever happened, is it?
No, it's the first time in a long time that the Sooners have been unranked. And I think that probably after this next week, A&M might be the highest ranked team in Texas.
I mean, we can agree that Texas was probably overranked.
They were overranked.
Right,
yes.
Right.
Yes. And
by the way, that was the game that would never end.
It really did. Because I was trying to watch the Tennessee-Georgia game, and I was like, dude, come on, I want to see the end of this.
So I was at one bar waiting for that game to end to go meet buddies at another bar, and I was like, I'll meet you as soon as this game's over. And like 40 minutes later, I will meet you when it's over.
Yeah. So the Alabama game, I want to read the drive chart to you.
Okay.
Because this is pathetic.
Okay, then I have a question for George based on that. Go ahead.
The drive chart. Touchdown, touchdown, punt, fumble, touchdown, punt, touchdown.
This is
touchdown.
Alabama?
No, this is just the game.
The game, okay.
Yes. Touchdown, end of half. Touchdown, touchdown. Field goal.
Woo.
Touchdown.
Defensive win.
Field goal. Touchdown. End of game.
And what was the score?
The score was 63-48, Alabama Crimson Tide. There was one touchdown in the first quarter by each teams, and then after that, it was a free for all when it came to points. Ole Miss's offense boat raced Alabama's defense for the better part of 4 hours.
Right. God, 4-hour football game.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of talk about. Oh yes, Craig, you're right. Arkansas did beat Auburn. That was the first time I've actually seen Arkansas get hosed.
I knew that.
The second time I'm seeing Arkansas get hosed because of that Ole Miss throwback thing they did that one time. But anyway, there's been a lot of talk about firing Pete Golding.
Defensive coordinator.
Yes, the defensive coordinator who was hired from UTSA.
Which was a weird hire at the time.
It was
for me.
a weird hire. I didn't.
Does he have something on Saban, like pictures or something of his wife?
Probably was trying to save money. I don't know how much he signed for. I ain't look it up. But.
George, let me ask you this, because this is what I wanted to ask you. Goes along these lines. So Saban was very vocal after the game about him and the defense and things that happened and the way the game went. So he said that he seemed like it felt like the Alabama defense was always a play behind. So how much of this do we attribute to Pete, and are they just that terrible of a defense? Are they a Big 12 defense, or do Ole Miss? I mean, do they just game plan well against Alabama? Because there's got to be a fine line there somewhere, right?
Yeah, there is, and it really depends on how you want to perceive it, I guess. So when he makes a statement like,
he called out his defensive coordinator.
Well, when you're saying you're a play behind, the other way of saying that is that the offense was a play ahead.
Right.
They had you pegged. They knew you were going to be or whatever. And I know he got into talking about Well, they didn't disguise well. It was easy for them to find out where they were going to be. And I think, as much as we talk about being creative on offense, you still got to be creative on defense to make them do what you want them to do. So let me put this in a different way. And JT will definitely understand this. You will too. But people listening, so one of the things we talk about when we're talking about defense, especially the way the stuff goes now, right? With the RPOs, run pass option, right? The way you line up will dictate what the offense is going to do, probably pre-snap. But from the defensive side, you can predetermine if you know they're running RPOs, how you line up will tell you exactly what they're going to do on offense as well. So at JP2, we talk about all the time, do we want them to run it or do we want them to throw it? And who to who? So we will put that linebacker where we want that to happen. If we want them to run it, move out 2 yards wider, we got to go make the tackle. If we want them to throw it, move 2 yards in because they're going to pull it and throw it. And so even though it seems simple to me, but it don't look like any of that was happening during the game. I don't know, JT or you guys, it just looked like that RPO, they counted the box. We had 5 in the box. They ran it. That's what they're supposed to do. They gashed us. We had too many in the box, too many over on the left. Through it.
There we go.
What happened?
No, you're good. You were talking about being in the box. We lost you for about 10 seconds there. Your audio.
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. So I was just saying that you can make sure, we had guys that it just didn't seem like we knew where they were going to go. Meaning we had 5 in the box. They're going to run it. So why aren't our guys looking inside at least trying to play the run? I tweeted out that picture with them having the 3 over 2. They're not going to throw the ball over there, but all the guys were looking that way, and they shouldn't have been. It's just
that was a great visual, by the way you explained that. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. Some things that I saw, I thought that I think this is the first time I've actually seen Alabama's defense, at least in a while, look unprepared. They could not match tempo, and I know they played tempo teams before. There were too many times where they were still looking around, just trying to figure out where to stand.
Yeah,
they couldn't figure that out. We had, I think this is week 3, or that was week 3. So I still haven't seen them cover a back out of the backfield yet. There are recurring themes that I see.
Mm-hmm.
We're not covering backs. We haven't looked good against the run really at all this year.
It's 9 o'clock.
The pass rush is not what we're used to seeing. We're used to having at least one dominant lineman. We have big names that are supposed to be dominant, but they're not actually getting to the quarterback. And this is the first time. Usually, we say that the coverage is benefiting from the Alabama pass rush.
Right.
And I think we're actually better on the back end this year, or so far, than we are in up front.
Right.
And I don't know what the deal is. I do know that for the people that are saying, we should get rid of Pete Golding, don't hold your breath, at least not until the end of the season. That's very
I don't know if Saban's done with him,
it is very, very uncharacteristic for Saban to get rid of somebody mid-year. Usually it's happened once before with Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's kind of used to that happening, though.
Right, everywhere he's ever been.
But even then, with Lane Kiffin, that was still a special situation with him. He had already accepted a new job, and Coach Saban thought that Lane Kiffin was preoccupied with where he was going versus what he was supposed to be doing now.
And he's probably right.
And Pete Golding is not afforded that excuse because he doesn't have another job lined up. We're in week 3. This is not December.
Right.
I think what everyone's trying to skate around a little bit is you hit on it, JT, the lack of preparation or not knowing. And it has to be the way we practice, the way we're preparing, the way we're watching film, because there is a lot of talent out there. And if you can't get your talent to go in the right direction, or that you're giving up big play after big play after big play after big play, that's scheme.
Yes. And last year he had a built-in excuse with as many freshmen as he had last year, and all these guys that left and like, look, they're new, they don't know what's going on. This year, that's irrelevant. These guys have played, they've been in the system for a year. You got Dylan Moses back. You've got I don't think there's only one freshman that's out there playing right now, Will Anderson. Right. So, he gets a little bit of a pass, but like you said, they didn't look prepared at all to me.
No, he'll try to blame it on COVID or something of that nature, but I just think I really think it's where I'm sitting at now, I have to go with the coordinator, the way that you're trying to prep your team. Of course, I don't know. Not sitting there. Guys could not be doing what they're supposed to do, and I'm a coach too, and I understand that. Hey, you prepare guys, or you think you do anyway, and then they get in the game, and it's kind of we've been there too. So I get it, but when you're at this level, and I do think that when you're talking about a Nick Saban and will he make a tough decision and will he fire somebody in the middle of the season, I know that feeling after that game, even after you won, and you got that bad feeling of like, man, this was the worst game ever. The way we're still feeling about it now, that if this happens again, you get steamrolled, but you give up another 600 yards or something to a Georgia offense or anybody else down the road, Mississippi State.
Okay.
You're gonna have a question.
Yeah. So I was a little bit kind of, I want to give Lane Kiffin and his offense coordinator their credit, because Lane Kiffin is a brilliant offensive mind. Everybody was talking about, we wish we had the 2016 defense back.
Right.
And I think they forget that Ole Miss also hung up like 45 points in that 2016 defense as well. So I'll give him the credit that he deserves then. But Georgia's offense ain't that great. They got a quarterback that's not that great. So if it happens then, Mississippi State just got held to 2 points on 70 passes. They threw the ball 70 times and scored 2 points and threw 6 picks.
They are the New York Giants of college football.
Yeah,
and
the Cowboys.
What the Giants did to the Cowboys, right, with that terrible defense. So
yes, let's finish your thought, and then we need to move on.
Yeah, so the only thought to that was, I'm looking at those games, and if we're getting torched by teams like that, I mean, even Tennessee couldn't put up more than 21. We really need to evaluate, Charlie Strong probably sitting up there in the box,
right,
looking down to my, hey, I can probably do a little bit better than what Pete Golden is doing right now.
Yep. So Alabama with number 3 ranked Georgia Saturday night. Georgia is what we would like to think a significantly better offensive team than Ole Miss.
No, I don't think so. Significantly better defense for sure. Because if Ole Miss could have played any kind of defense, and I mean any kind of defense, that might have been a different game. And I thought Lane Kiffin gave up with 3 minutes left in the game,
which is weird.
I actually,
everything he does is weird, man.
Yeah, I texted Wesley and I was like, I think he gave up those 2 runs that he did. They had no timeouts left. There was 3 minutes left. He runs the ball twice and then throws it 46 yards down the field.
Why are people questioning that more?
Yeah, and then you would think you would have went for it on 4th down instead of kicking the field goal. You're down by 2 scores. I don't know. And you hadn't stopped them. You hadn't stopped Alabama the entire second half. So you think like, hey, look, we can't settle for a field goal. And they couldn't.
Because he took it as a win already. And he already put up that many. He got what he wanted to get out of the game. Yeah.
So all I can say to Crimson Tide fans out there is that it could be worse. You could be LSU. Okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Facts.
We don't need to get into Missouri LSU. Everybody knows.
We're going to get into Missouri LSU.
Oh, it's okay. Do we have time for that? All right. Let's do that last, though, because, of course, A&M upset number 4 Florida there at Kyle Field. And by the way, that's not as significant as the fact that today Florida suspended their football operations because they had 12 positive
I heard
tests.
It was 19.
Was it 19 now? I heard 12 earlier.
I heard
19 positive tests for COVID on the team, right? This isn't even personnel. This is team.
No, this is team. And this was.
Of course, they just left College Station.
Yeah, but this was also, what's today? Today's Tuesday. So this is like 3 days after Dan Mullen was complaining and then called and said, hey, we should lift the restriction on how many people can be in the stadium. Let's have all 90,000 people pack the Swamp.
Well,
like, yeah, that sounds like a fantastic idea.
It's not happening.
No, it's not going to happen.
Now we have no people in the Swamp.
But I feel like the most significant thing that happened this weekend in sports was the Cowboys-Giants. One of the significant happenings was that the Giants scored a touchdown quite easily on the first drive against the Cowboys.
Scored a couple takedowns.
Terrible defense. By the way, this just shows how bad this defense really, really is. Our defense, bad.
The Cowboys defense is the cure for the common offense. Dude,
it is bad. And, of course, the other most significant thing, not just for Cowboys fans, but really around the sports, was the gruesome injury to Dak. As I was watching the game clearly live, and when he went down, it's funny because he was holding his calf.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, crap, he's got a cramp. Oh, and look, his shoe came off. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, that's not his shoe. That's his foot.
Yeah.
So he is up. And I can't believe this. They're saying 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, well, so that's from his agent.
What the heck? Well, Jerry said the same thing on local radio this week.
So
There's no way, right?
I watched a sports doctor talk about it today.
So those who don't know, it was a dislocation and a compound fracture.
Yes. So if you're wondering really what that means, if you've seen the injuries to Gordon Hayward and Paul George, that's the type of injury we're talking about. I guess also to some extent Alex Smith, but Alex Smith's
that was way worse.
Hold on. Alex Smith's complication came from infection, not the injury itself, because he had a lingering infection that actually made things a whole lot worse. That's why it took him a long time.
Alex Smith had 17 surgeries, but I thought his leg was broken in multiple places too.
Yes,
not just the one compound break.
It's not. It's not nearly the level of.
Right. It's more of a Dax is more of the Joe Theismann injury.
Hey, tell me how you guys felt when that. What kind of emotions went through your body when?
Well, it escalated for me because at first when he grabbed his calf, I didn't think cramp, even though Tony Romo did.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's an Achilles, and I was like, oh man, that sucks. I know how. I know all about those. So I wasn't too emotional yet. But then after, I'm sitting there watching the game with Emily, and we saw the replay, and both of us were like, oh, no, we got to turn this off.
Yeah.
But then, I saw him.
I couldn't watch the second replay.
I saw him hit his leg up against the ground to put it back. And after it was all over with, I was kind of like, man, I feel like somebody just died.
Yep.
Like he lost somebody, and he's fine, but
you know what? All of that with him on the ground and holding his calf, and while even when he's on the ground, and the doctors or whatever trainers are all around him, and his teammates are coming up. Jason Garrett's over there with Mike McCarthy. It was the ultimate situation for him to get hurt with Garrett being there and being, of course, his coach the last few years and everybody being there present that just adores Dak and it being at home. To me, it wasn't as emotional, seeing him on the turf and everybody gathered around him and everybody talking about it. And the players, Michael Gallup saw the injury right after it happened and was walking away with his hands on his helmet like that because he couldn't believe what he just saw.
Right.
And you had players saying prayers on the sideline while he was still on the turf. But, dude, what tugged my heartstrings as he's being carted off the field, and he's clearly in tears. Mm-hmm. That's when it got to me. But you know what? This is why we signed. I say we. Sorry, George, not we. This is why we signed Andy Dalton. Okay, And you know what? Thank God, because what if this happened last year?
What did we have last year?
Mm-hmm. Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's no reason why, and of course the offense is going to fall off a little bit. And I've got numbers for Dak. Dude, 6,000 yards passing this season was not out of the realm of possibility. And it was actually well within the realm of possibility for him. He was playing out of his mind. But you know what? Doesn't matter. Dalton's going to be a step down on the offense for sure. But, dude, he's completely capable.
Yeah, but, I mean, it doesn't matter how capable he is. With Dak, you're still a 2-4 football team. So you take a step back. It takes you 40 points to score, or it takes you 40 points to win.
Can Dalton put up 40?
Yeah, and if Dalton can't put up 40, it's all moot anyway.
So here's the thing that ticked me off, though, was and I like Tony Dungy. I don't know if y'all caught this or not on the Sunday Night Football thing. Tony Dungy, and he apologized later and misspoke. He said, this could be a blessing in disguise for the Cowboys, Dak's injury.
Get out.
And as soon as he said that, I'm like, wait, what?
Right.
And what he meant to say was that, you know what, now they're going to have to go more to the ground game. They're going to have to rely on Zeke more, have more of a controlled offense, control the clock, which is what they probably should have been doing all along.
Yep.
Keep the other team's offense off the field. Keep your defense off the field.
That ain't what y'all want, man. Don't start going there. Didn't nobody want that.
But the way he said it was it's a blessing in disguise for the Cowboys. And he had to come back like later on the program, and I misspoke. That's not what I meant. But man, when he said that, I'm like, man, you're just making yourself sound like an idiot right now. And not that I've never said dumb things on the air. Clearly, I've said all of the dumb things on the air.
Well,
but I'm not on Sunday Night Football for a reason, okay?
What I'm going to be watching is going to be for the storyline later when it gets into we got to relive this all over again. Right. They're going to do a franchise tag. Are they going to sign him? Is he going to be healthy? When are we going to be able to see him run? If he can't even start running until next June or whatever it's going to be, what do the Cowboys do? What happens in the draft? It's going to get interesting. From a player's perspective, it definitely clouds things when you didn't get your long-term deal that you wanted this past year. Now you got an injury like this, and hopefully I don't know enough about, how you come back from this, but man, I sure hope that he's going to be okay and that, he can get another opportunity to get another shot at his money and a chance to play again.
So both Jerry and Stephen Jones both have come on Dallas radio this week and said separately in separate interviews that they fully expect Dak to be back and participating in full workouts with the team by May. That's the timeline they expect.
Yeah, I don't know what the timeline is.
I don't either. That just seems awful optimistic to me.
All I know is what the doctor that I watched today. I don't know how true this is, but he said that he was with Darren Sproles' permission.
Right.
He said that Darren Sproles basically had the same injury in year 2. And then he was talking about he went on to have, 12 years after that, and he was just as shifty as he was before. It's really not that big of a deal. He was saying it's an outpatient thing, so you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry too much. And he said that they were saying 4 to 6 months, and he was saying if he was the doctor, he'd be saying 6 to 9 months is when you're actually back, probably to 100%. But he could probably start working out somewhere between 4 and 6 months. So,
God, it's just shocking to me. Just that the human body can do that and come back. I mean, good Lord.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think
back when my ACL took me out of the NFL, it was
at a very young age, right?
It was a career-ending injury back in 1993.
I gotta make up a new acronym. What does NFL stand for now, JT? We gotta
National. North Texas Flag Football League. The NFFL. Sorry, I misspoke. Tony Dungy. But no, man, it just amazes me that, years ago, dude, that's a career-ending injury.
Yeah.
Alex, and you know what? Maybe not coincidentally enough, Alex Smith made his return to football Sunday. After that gruesome injury.
that was scary just to watch too. Just to,
Dude, I'm just afraid.
Apparently, there can only be one, right? There's got to be one every year. Teddy Bridgewater had his thing.
Yeah.
Alex Smith had his,
Yeah.
and then the day Alex Smith comes back, I guess
We got Dak.
The NFL had to sacrifice another quarterback.
Yeah. Does Roger Goodell make that decision? Who gets sacrificed?
He must. I mean.
So, George, let me ask you this: then the NFC East has been up in the air.
Say it again.
East was already up in the air with Dak out. Does this shift the power rankings for the NFC East with Dalton at quarterback or the Cowboys?
Surprisingly, it doesn't. Football team is still bad.
Football team isn't in the. Gotta love saying that. Football team is not in the discussion. I'm talking Eagles or Cowboys.
I'm probably more worried about the Eagles just because of even though I don't like Carson Wentz that much.
I'm not taking Andy Dalton over Carson Wentz right now.
Well, aren't they switching quarterbacks right now?
Yeah, they've been playing Jalen Hurts.
So, I mean,
what'd he ever do, though? I'm just kidding.
If you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. So
he abandoned Alabama. That's what he did.
Yeah, he's smart. So I don't know, man. I think Cowboys still got to be. I always want to say we're favored, but until we do something with this defense, I feel the same way I feel about Alabama at this time. Just the defense is just not there.
Well, let me ask you this about what the Cowboys should do weeks. I guess this is week 6 through 17. You had a clear priority in fixing the defense. Your offense was hitting on all cylinders, at least after halftime, usually. And you had a clear path of what you need to fix. But now that you've lost your quarterback.
That's my quarterback, man. My quarterback.
and now you have bigger problems, right? You got Andy Dalton. You got to pull up another backup for him.
By the way, they signed who they signed?
I saw they signed somebody, but I don't remember who it was.
Dang it, who was it?
Jamil Shah.
Cowboys signed somebody? A quarterback?
Some Gilbert Gottfried. No, not Gilbert Gottfried. That's the comedian.
Oh my God.
Oh gosh.
Blaine Gabbert. No, not Blaine Gabbert. Who the hell was it? For Cleveland's practice squad. What does that tell you?
Colin Kaepernick. Oh, no,
Garrett Gilbert.
Garrett Gilbert. There you go. Thank you.
I don't know.
Who's that?
Gilbert Gottfried. That would have been a story right there. The Cowboys signing of Gilbert Gottfried.
GG. You want your quarterback to be named GG? Come on, man. No, bro.
Where did he even go to school? Anybody know? Who is this
guy? No,
we don't know.
I didn't finish asking my question. You have all these problems on defense. You lost your quarterback. You don't have an offensive line anymore.
By the way, we didn't just lose Dak. We lost 2 more starting offensive linemen.
Yeah, Lyle Collins ain't coming back. Smith. He's just
Tyron Smith is done for the year. He's having surgery.
Yeah. So basically 3 out of your 5 starting linemen are actually just not going to play this year. So what do you do? I understand, the Herm Edwards, you play to win the game, but
what'd he ever do?
What is your actual goal here?
To win the game.
But how helpful is it to actually go to the playoffs, win your first round or whatever, and then just have pick 17 again?
Well, you play the season, man, and try to go.
I'm thinking maybe is it time to start offloading things, trading people?
I have 2 questions here. I have a 2-part question. Actually, I have the same question for both of y'all separately. You as a fan and you as a player. As a fan, would you rather see your team miss the playoffs completely or make the playoffs and go out in the first round? From an excitement and fandom level.
Just from a fan, I'd rather them just be bad.
Well, that's really weird.
Because, look, being mediocre doesn't help you.
Well, I know we've been mediocre for 10 years.
Yeah.
So,
Because
George,
you've been mediocre.
as a player, would you rather miss the playoff? Well, I know you get game checks for making the playoffs.
What are you talking about? No, I don't want to miss the playoff.
Game checks.
No, that's extra money, man. What are you talking about? No.
That was a tough question. I my question.
But
You.
I guess better phrased for me is like, do you actually try to start cobbling things together just so you can
No,
hobble
Jerry will
through-
never do that.
So you can hobble through the playoffs or whatever for this 1 year? Or do
Yeah.
you
Trade 3 DBs for 1 safety. Something. Whatever you want to do. Get some kind of upgraded here. But anyway, man. You
Trade
saw
Michael Gallup for a safety?
Jeff Heath just had an interception, almost took it.
God. Oh, yes. He picked up Patrick Mahomes and took it back. Really took it back.
Yeah.
Dude, he played well while he was here.
No, he played better than what we have today.
Dude,
well,
I had no issues with Jeff Heath.
Jeff Heath
He was a Bill Bates starter kit.
Jeff Heath knew where he was supposed to be. He just couldn't get there.
He wasn't very fast.
Now we got guys who can supposedly get there,
They
but
don't
just
even
don't
know
have
where.
nowhere to be.
It's the opposite.
Look, fellas, y'all get me all down depressed. We're talking about teams without any defenses, the SEC not having any defense. I mean, we were joking on LSU. Now I got to talk bad about Alabama. Now I got to talk bad about the Cowboys. And now
Hey, Green Bay's playing well.
it's probably why I'm sick, because ain't nobody got no defense. And I'm just so
Hey, before we go off the air here, we're probably later than we've ever been before on any show.
yeah.
We've got a couple of giveaways, but we're going to do one. You want to do one of them tonight, or are we going to go ahead and do both?
No, I'm a man of my word, and when I say I'm going to give away 2 gifts, if there are 2 guests left in there, they need to get those gifts. I don't like not saying I'm going to do something and not do it.
Then I declare myself the winner of both. How's that?
You need to see your receipt, though, sir, and I know you don't have one.
Hashtag winning.
So,
All right, so you still want to do the drawing? You still want to do the drawing for both, and we'll draw. We'll let JT draw separately.
You just said we need receipts.
Yeah, we got to have receipt. We got to collect. That's what I'm saying. I want to do it now so we can collect receipts. So, Dessa, the lovely and talented Dessa, our waitress, is here. So we're going to give away 2 items, but we need receipts from everybody here to put like into a cup or something to draw. Would you mind walking around and maybe helping collect some stuff? And we don't really have to do it on the air. Do you want to do it on the air, George? I mean, kind of.
No, it doesn't have to be on the air. I just want to know who it is. Take a picture, and we'll send it out later.
All right, so we'll have her go and collect receipts for anybody. So, by the way, we have everybody in the house. We've got what you see up front here, the framed George Teague Alabama Crimson Tide jersey with a signature on it. And then we also have, and you didn't sign this flag, right? It's just the.
No, they're going to have to come back so I can sign that one. I'm sure Troy or somebody's in there.
So we also have, this is the second giveaway.
Yeah, that's nice.
Oh, it's this way. Here we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right there. George carrying the flag out on the field. This was right at the first game back after 9/11 at Texas Stadium, correct?
Yes, and that one was donated to us by the Cowboy House. We appreciate them for doing. They're going to be allowing us to give away gifts every single week, and we'll start doing things to for people that are listening online, because we know we have a big online presence as well.
If you win this and you come back next week, George will sign it for you and take a picture of it with you. So for sure, he just wasn't able to make it tonight. That the framed jersey is already signed. So Dessa's going to collect receipts from everybody. We're going to get off the show here pretty quick, and then we will draw afterwards. We'll have JT draw, and then we'll announce the winner on our social media. If you come back next week, George will be here to give you an elbow bump and sign the flag and all that good stuff.
All right.
How's that sound?
That's perfect, man. Thank you, guys, and another great show. I know we went long. I appreciate everyone for hanging in there with us, but man, there was so much to talk about today, and having Eli on was just awesome.
You know, it's funny when we started talking about doing this podcast initially, you said, I want to keep it to an hour. and I want to have a guest every week. And I was like, man, I was trying to tell you, it's going to be really hard to do, man. But we did it for a couple of weeks. We kept it pretty close. But when you get somebody like Eli on or Tony Casillas, Darren Woodson that we've had on, man, it's really hard to tell them to shut up, and stop.
And now going Tuesdays, I don't know, maybe we got to rethink the length of it. Maybe I'll put that back out to the street team, see what they think.
The feedback I've been getting, people like the longer shows.
Yeah, so we might have to go to 90 minutes or something. We'll see. I'll put it out there to the team. And why don't we just say that? Hey, you guys, let us know what you think. Hit us up. You can hit me on at Teague Football on all of the channels. So you can hit us at Teague's Take. If someone asks for JT's social media page.
Yes, you can find me at Teague13 on Twitter.
Yeah. What about your Reddit stuff?
Yes. Reddit is reddit.com/r/Teague's Take.
Still don't know what the hell that is.
One day, maybe I'll send you a screenshot.
My son made me a Reddit page for my other podcast, and I don't even know how to look at it or do anything.
Oh,
with
my
it.
God.
Yeah. And Tim, how they find you, man?
Reddit is? Who here knows what Reddit is? There's a bunch of people shaking their heads.
There you go.
Right. That guy does. That guy doesn't. So it's like 50-50.
All right. That's pretty good.
All right. We'll get it figured out.
JT's not on Facebook. Someone asked her. JT's not on Facebook.
I am not.
Find me at just George Teague on Facebook. Then, of course, at Teague's Take. You can find IndyCar Tim at all your social media handles are IndyCar Tim, right?
I am at IndyCar Tim at just about everything you can find except for Reddit.
Yep.
Instagram, the Twitter, Facebook, Friendster.
You got Friendster.
MySpace.
Oh, my God.
Snapchat. I'm on Snapchat at IndyCar Tim.
You got Zynga?
Jenga?
You still got an AOL?
Adult Friend Finder.
Oh, my God.
Was that on the air? My bad. All right. So that'll wrap everything up. George, you got anything as a parting word for everybody here tonight?
Hey, man, yes. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Tune in. Find out if you are someone who can play in the National Football League. I'm going to find out.
If you don't already know, God help you.
I can't wait, man. I'm taking the test or whatever. I want to hear what you
say. Everybody hit me up on whatever social media device or, you know what I'm saying, platform, and let us know. Do we need to take this to a 90-minute show? I'd be curious to hear what everyone has to say about it.
Inquiring minds want to know. That's right. Yes, he is at Teague Football on the Twitter. At Teague's Take, right, is the podcast Twitter.
Yeah, and y'all take care of Dessa tonight since I'm not there. Make sure y'all give her a nice tip for me, and then let me know about the winners of the things, and roll Tide, baby, roll Tide.
So I saw an interesting. We're going to close the show. I saw an interesting hashtag that I don't know who gave it. I lost it here, but it was hashtag Roll Teague.
Yes,
you know, I hadn't seen that before. That might be trending.
I hadn't seen that either. It's pretty nice.
It's pretty cool. So we want to thank Mr. Eli Gold for coming on first half of the show and sharing all those awesome stories with us, man. Guys, like I said, that guy's been an idol of mine, broadcast idol of mine for a long time, and just I had 100 more questions, but time constraints. So we appreciate him popping on. We'll be back with Denise Alcazar next week, and find out if we can become pro athletes, or if we ever will be pro athletes. We want to thank everybody that's been a part of this one. We want to thank all of our sponsors, Meat Church, ProfoundSites.com, CowboysSI.com, the Maverick Bar and Repair Resource, as well as our new sponsor, the Cowboy House. Check them out at CowboyHouseSports.com. And they've got all your sports memorabilia. They've provided the flag for us. We're going to have some mini helmets that are going to be signed by George. We're going to be giving away in future weeks. They provided those for us as well, so go check those boys out. They've got a great store up in Lake Dallas where you can actually walk on the old Texas Stadium end zone turf. You can sit in old Yankee Stadium seats as well as old Texas Rangers Globe Life Park seats. that he's got there in the store for you. So everybody, as well as old Texas Stadium seats that he's got left over. So check those boys out at cowboyhousesports.com. Until next week, along with George and JT, I'm Eddie Cartim, and it's over, and we are out.